Imagine this. You're swimming in the crystal-clear waters of the ocean, enjoying the vibrant coral reefs and the schools of colorful fish surrounding you. Everything seems perfect, calm, and peaceful.
But then, out of nowhere, a giant shadow looms over you.
You turn around, and there it is. A massive whale shark gliding through the water with its colossal mouth wide open.
You try to swim away, but it's too late.
Before you can even react, you feel yourself being pulled into the gigantic maw of this gentle giant.
You've just been swallowed by a whale shark. What now?
How do you survive this? What happens to you inside the belly of the biggest fish in the ocean? Being swallowed by a whale shark might sound like a scene out of a science fiction movie.
Or a bad nightmare. But let's break down exactly what would happen if you ever found yourself in this almost impossible situation.
For starters, whale sharks are the largest fish in the world. They can grow up to 40 feet long.
And weigh around 20 tons, which is about the size of a school bus.
Despite their massive size, these creatures are gentle giants.
And pose no real threat to humans, at least not intentionally.
Whale sharks are filter feeders, meaning they swim through the ocean with their mouths wide open, scooping up plankton, tiny fish, and other small organisms.
They don't have a taste for larger prey, and certainly not for humans.
However, let's imagine that you, by some incredibly unlucky chance, happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time and get sucked into the mouth of a whale shark while it's feeding.
What would it be like inside the mouth of such a colossal creature?
For starters, the experience would be disorienting.
The sheer size of the whale shark's mouth is staggering. It can open up to about 5 feet wide, large enough to fit a small car inside.
You'd be immediately engulfed in darkness as the whale shark's jaws close around you.
But here's where things start to get a bit weird.
Although the whale shark's mouth is huge, its throat is not.
In fact, the throat of a whale shark is only about the size of a quarter, far too small to swallow a human being.
So while you might fit into the whale shark's mouth, there's no way you're going to make it down its throat and into its stomach.
This is both good news and bad news.
The good news is that you're not going to be digested by the whale shark.
You won't end up like Jonah in the belly of the whale, slowly being broken down by stomach acids.
The bad news is that you're still stuck in its mouth, and it's not exactly the most comfortable place to be.
Once you're inside, you'd be pressed up against the whale shark's filter pads. These are the structures that the whale shark uses to filter out food from the water.
They act like a giant sieve, trapping anything that's too big to pass through, including you.
At this point, you're probably wondering how you're going to breathe.
After all, you're submerged in water, inside the mouth of a whale shark, and there's not exactly a lot of air to go around.
You'd likely be holding your breath, trying to stay calm while the whale shark continues to swim and feed.
The water would be rushing in and out of the whale shark's mouth as it moves through the ocean, creating a strong current that would make it difficult to stay in one place.
You'd be buffeted around by the flow of water, pushed and pulled by the suction created by the whale shark's feeding.
But here's where you catch a break.
Whale sharks, despite their size, don't chew their food.
They don't have the sharp, serrated teeth that other sharks use to tear apart their prey.
Instead, they rely on their filter pads to trap food, and then they simply swallow it whole.
So while you're trapped in the whale shark's mouth, you don't have to worry about being bitten or torn apart.
In fact, the biggest danger you face is running out of air.
You'd need to hold your breath and wait for the whale shark to realize that you're not part of its usual diet and spit you out.
Now you might be thinking, wait, do whale sharks actually spit things out? Yes, they do.
Anything that's too big to pass through their filter pads, whether it's a large fish or a human, gets expelled back out of the mouth or pushed out through the gills.
So your best bet for survival would be to wait until the whale shark realizes you're too big to swallow and releases you.
The tricky part is how long that process would take.
Whale sharks feed slowly, moving through the water at a leisurely pace as they scoop up food.
You might be stuck inside its mouth for several minutes, possibly even longer, depending on how long it takes for the whale shark to finish filtering through the water.
During this time, you'd be battling a few challenges. First, there's the issue of air.
Unless you're an experienced freediver with an impressive lung capacity, you'd be struggling to hold your breath for more than a couple of minutes.
The lack of oxygen would quickly become your biggest concern.
The second challenge would be the sheer disorientation of being trapped in a dark, wet, and constantly moving environment.
The currents inside the whale shark's mouth would make it hard to stay in one place, and you'd likely be tossed around as the whale shark continues to swim and feed.
But let's assume you manage to stay calm and conserve your energy.
After a few minutes of being trapped, you'd probably start to feel the whale shark shift.
It would realize that something isn't right, that whatever is stuck in its mouth is too large to swallow.
At this point, the whale shark would likely stop feeding and either expel you through its gills or spit you back out through its mouth.
The experience of being ejected from a whale shark's mouth would be just as disorienting as being swallowed.
You'd be pushed out by a rush of water, tumbling head over heels as you're expelled back into the open ocean.
Once you're out, your first priority would be to get to the surface and take a breath.
Depending on how deep you were when the whale shark swallowed you, this might be a bit of a challenge.
Whale sharks are known to dive to impressive depths while feeding, so you could find yourself several meters below the surface.
But assuming you've still got enough air in your lungs, you'd swim upward, break through the surface, and finally take a much-needed breath of fresh air.
At this point, you'd be safe. The whale shark, having spit you out, would likely continue on its way, completely unaware of the chaos it just put you through.
You, on the other hand, would have an unbelievable story to tell, one that most people would probably find hard to believe.
After all, being swallowed by a whale shark is not something that happens every day.
Now, let's take a step back and consider the odds of this actually happening.
Whale sharks, despite their massive size, are gentle creatures.
They're not predators in the traditional sense, and they have no interest in eating anything larger than a small fish.
In fact, whale sharks are often referred to as the gentle giants of the sea because of their docile nature.
Divers frequently swim alongside whale sharks without any fear of being attacked or swallowed.
Whale sharks are filter feeders, and their diet consists primarily of plankton, krill, and other tiny organisms that they scoop up from the water.
They're not aggressive, and they certainly don't go around swallowing humans.
So, while the idea of being swallowed by a whale shark makes for a dramatic and thrilling scenario, it's not something you need to worry about in real life.
The chances of a whale shark accidentally swallowing a human are incredibly slim.
And even if it did happen as we've just explored, the worst-case scenario is that you'd be trapped in its mouth for a few minutes before being spit back out.
You wouldn't be digested, and you wouldn't be eaten alive.
In fact, you'd probably emerge from the experience completely unharmed, albeit a little shaken up.
But let's indulge in the what-if for just a moment longer.
Imagine what it would feel like to be inside the mouth of a whale shark.
The darkness, the rush of water, the sensation of being pushed and pulled by the currents.
You'd hear the muffled sounds of the ocean, the distant echo of the whale shark's slow, rhythmic heartbeat as it glides through the water.
You might even feel the slight vibration of its body as it moves, a gentle reminder of the immense power and size of the creature that has temporarily trapped you.
It's a surreal thought, isn't it? To be swallowed by the largest fish in the ocean, only to be spat back out a few minutes later.
It's the kind of experience that would leave you in awe of the sheer scale and majesty of these creatures.
Whale sharks, despite their intimidating size, are one of the ocean's most peaceful inhabitants.
They move through the water with grace and purpose, filtering out their tiny meals without causing harm to the world around them.
In a way, being swallowed by a whale shark, while terrifying in the moment, would be a humbling reminder of how small we are in the grand scheme of things.
And that's the beauty of what-if scenarios like this one.
They allow us to imagine the impossible, to step into the unknown and explore the boundaries of reality.
In the case of being swallowed by a whale shark, we're reminded of the incredible diversity of life in the ocean and the many mysteries it still holds.
We're also reminded of our own vulnerability, our smallness in a world that is vast and often unpredictable.
So, the next time you find yourself swimming in the ocean, surrounded by the beauty of marine life, take a moment to appreciate the incredible creatures that call the sea their home.
And if you're lucky enough to encounter a whale shark, don't be afraid.
These gentle giants have no interest in making a meal out of you.
Instead, they'll glide past you, their massive mouths wide open, scooping up plankton and krill without a care in the world.
And who knows? Maybe one day you'll have your own what-if story to tell. Though hopefully, it won't involve being swallowed by a whale shark.
If you enjoyed this wild dive into the what-if world, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on our next deep dive into the unknown.
This has been What If Explanations, and we'll see you next time with another mind-bending question.